Would you ever date a Democrat?
Hell no.
How come? What if she was just the greatest girl, the kindest, nicest, beautiful, had the same sort of social values as you, but she voted for Democrat?
Maybe date her, but I couldn't marry and live with her. It's too much.
Because I was born and raised Democrat, and now I would never go back that way.
Is there a Democrat you could see yourself voting for?
No.
Not a single one?
Not a single one, because I don't think they're actually in control making their own decisions.
If you could sit down with President Biden and tell him one thing, what would you tell the president?
Do you know what flavor Jell-O you're having tonight?
If you were to have a substantive question for him, what would it be?
Do you have enough Jell-O for both of us?
You win. Is there a Democrat you could see supported?
Zero.
If President Biden were to walk...
Why do we call them Democrats when they're Marxists? Why don't we call them what they really are?
Well, I'm just talking about the parties. Who would you like to see run as a Democrat?
I haven't given that. I don't think there's any Democrat that's capable right now of running against Trump. I can't come up with anybody else.
Who is making their decisions?
I think it all starts at the top with the Federal Reserve and who's actually controlling our country.
But are Republicans making their own decisions?
I think Donald Trump is, absolutely. I think Pence went against it, but I definitely think that Donald Trump was making his own decisions.
Pence went against what?
I think Pence ended up either getting some sort of deal or something to get himself out of what he thought that they were going to entrap them in, which obviously they had no proof because it never happened on January 6th. But him turning his back on President Trump was a huge disappointment to me.
You say turn your back on President Trump, but didn't he turn his front toward the Constitution that day?
I have a hard time with the last election because of how many dead people that voted, all of the videos that you can physically see them putting duffel bags of fake votes in there. It's hard for me to stand by the last election and say yes or no to certain things.
So would you be okay with another Democrat, a younger Democrat?
It depends on who it is. You know.
Who would be on your good list?
We like the Kennedys can't,
RFK Jr.?
Yeah. I just think he's a good guy. I think that I like what he has to say. I think he will make a change for the better if it can't be Trump.
I do believe that this is America. This is a great country. And the way I see it headed right now under the Biden administration is he's leading us down a dark path. You know, Biden, I hear repeatedly says, this is a fight for the soul of our nation. And, you know, I stand back and I really look into that statement. And, you know, I believe in my heart that, yeah, like the evilness that's occurring, yeah. It is a fight for the soul of the nation, and we need to get it back to where it's good.
And do you think President Biden's for the people?
Absolutely not.
In what way?
Because of everything, all his policies that he's implementing, it's not for the people. Look at the gas. I mean, every time I go to that gas pump, I get so upset inside. When Trump was president, gas prices were nowhere near this amount. It's getting to the point where people cannot survive. They're getting 2 or 3 jobs to survive, correct?
So again, like going back to income inequality, do you think there is income inequality that's an issue?
Under Biden, is it an issue?
In America, I'm forgetting who the president is, or do you think it's an issue in American hardship right now?
Absolutely. I do believe it's a hardship, and I do blame it on the Biden administration. I do.
You blame income inequality on the Biden administration?
Absolutely. I do.
In what way?
Again, well, the income, I mean, we can just look at it, right? I mean, it's the policies. It's all about the policies.
And so do you think Biden has implemented policies to keep people down?
Absolutely.
If you could tell President Biden one thing, if he were standing here and he said, sir, you got one question, what would you ask him?
I'd ask him, where is he right now? Because I don't think the guy even knows where he's at. He doesn't even...
If you could say something to Joe Biden, productive, not let's go Brandon, right? What would you tell the president?
Well, I would ask him to step down. He really has done nothing. He's not capable of doing anything. He shouldn't be there at all. I don't think he's even really running anything anyway. Somebody else is.
Who could be running the country?
Oh, maybe a previous president.
if Joe Biden were here, President Biden were here, and he said, walked up to you, he probably wouldn't like the shirt. But if he said, ask me any question you want, what would you ask the president?
Probably ask why he's still in office. I don't think he's mentally fit to be president in the first place. I do feel like we're kind of a laughing stock right now for the rest of the world leaders. Definitely should be mentally fit for the job. I don't think that's the case. So
there are a lot of people, because I cover both sides, and there are people on the other side who said we were laughing stock because of President Trump. Well, what do you say to those people?
You need a strong leader to make a country stand out. We are one of the largest economy in the world, so you do need a strong leader to push that forward. We can't be getting walked on by our competitors, per se, like China. So kind of anytime you watch the news, you see him missing his doors when he's walking through the lawn. It doesn't give a good vibe. So Trump stands on stage. You get what he says. What he says he's going to do. He doesn't backpedal on that. He doesn't. You don't have to worry about him saying one thing and doing another, because he talks the talk and he walks the walk as well. So
let's talk about President Biden for just a moment. If he were here and you could ask him one question, what would you ask President Biden?
I'd say, who's really pulling your strings? Simple as that. And then he'd probably mumble an answer back if he even looked back at all. But
if President Biden were here right now and you could ask him one question, what would you ask? What question would you ask the president?
The president, that's a freaking really crazy question. There's a whole bunch.
You only get one question. That's the rule.
He's messed up so much. He's not for the people. He's not for the people at all. And I would ask him, why do you think you are for the people? What have you done for the people? You haven't done nothing for the people.
And ma'am, what would you ask the president if he were here?
I would ask him, why would you be president on everything that you're doing right now? Everything that you have done? Come on.
If you could talk to President Biden, you could ask him one question. What would you ask him in regards to how you feel?
I could ask him what is he thinking, but he doesn't know what he's thinking.
But about an issue, a substantive issue.
Well, I'd ask him about how opening the border really helps in doing it without proper channels and doing it legally.
Do you think he wants to open the borders?
He's already proven that. He's done it.
Well, I mean, if the borders were open in point of fact, then...
He never closed them. He never went forward to help close them at all.
But there are all these people on the other side clamoring to get in who are being kept out, so they're not open.
They have the right to come in if they do it legally, but if they're not going to be legal, they don't need to be here.
If President Biden were here and he walked up to you right now and he said, you can ask me one question, what question would you ask the president?
Oh, my God. What are you thinking on how you're running this country? I believe that when Trump was in office back in 2016, he won. One of his things was immigration, stop the immigration, let's build the fence, build the wall. I think he was doing a great job at that. And once Biden stepped in, he took away probably 80-90% of what Trump had done as far as the immigration, building the wall, and what have you.
President Biden walked up to you right now, and you could ask him any one question. What would you ask the president?
What are you doing? I mean, I just don't know. I guess I don't know. I mean, it's time to step aside, let someone else come in there and take over. I guess it's kind of a scary time where we are right now, so, yeah.
If you could ask Joe Biden one question, if he was standing right here and said, "Sir, how are you today?" Ask me any question. What would you ask him?
Oh, I don't know.